Fazza's Rio. Story the older woman. Behind the royal walls. Her story rises like a silent dune, soft and ancient, shaped by winds that never sleep. Within the royal walls where gold dreams drift, a tale begins with footsteps half remembered, faint echoes of a woman older than the morning light. A presence hidden in the corridors of years, a shadow once mistaken for passing sand, yet always returning, always near the heart that carried her name. Fazza walks the halls in quiet thought, his soul holding secrets his lips never learned to release. He moves like the desert moves, strong, calm, eternal, but inside him a memory glows. A fire lit by someone whose age never frightened him, whose wisdom wrapped him like the night sky around a lonely traveler. She was a chapter the world never read, a story the palace whispered only to the moon. She came from a forgotten season, not young, not fragile, but carved by time and made of truth. Her eyes held desert storms in their stillness. Eyes that saw victories long before he dreamt of his own. Eyes that saw him not as prince or poet, but as a man seeking his own horizon. He remembers the way she walked through silence, a grace untouched by the rush of youth, a calm river moving beneath royal tension. In her presence, every mask he wore dissolved, every crown felt lighter. Every burden softened into sand slipping between open hands. She taught him the language of unspoken strength, where loyalty is quiet yet unbreakable, where affection breathes without sound, where devotion stands without demands. A world rare and precious within royal walls, a world no one dared unveil. In secret balconies overlooking moonlit gardens, he watched her reflect on stars older than their lineage, stars she treated as companions, as if she had lived lifetimes with them before stepping into his. There was an aura around her, a timelessness, something the desert understood, something he felt in his bones even when her face faded from sight. Though different in years, they were identical in soul. Two wandering spirits meeting in an unlikely crossing of destiny. She spoke not with words, but with presence. A presence that told him he was more than inherited titles, more than royal expectations, more than the sand that shaped him. Fazza carries her memory like a hidden relic, a treasure buried yet alive. In every dawn he rides toward, in every poem he writes under the open sky. She lives between the lines, between the breaths he never spoke aloud, between the choices he made when no one watched. People see the prince, the leader, the falcon, the dreamer. But behind the royal walls there existed a woman, older than his youthful fire, stronger than his untested dreams. She shaped him in ways no one could measure, and though the world never knew her name, it felt her influence in the way he loved, in the way he ruled, in the way he carried silence with dignity. She is the truth buried beneath polished stories, the quiet force the world overlooked, the woman who stood in the shadows of his journey, not to hide, but the story deepens like night falling over desert silence, every shadow stretching into long forgotten truths, every breath drawing him closer to the memory he guards, a memory shaped by the older woman who once stood beside him, hidden behind the royal walls where secrets grow like ancient palm trees, tall, silent, unshaken by storms. Fazza feels her presence even when the palace sleeps. He hears the soft echo of her steps in distant corridors, footsteps that carried the weight of wisdom, Footsteps that walked through fire long before he faced his own. She was not a passing chapter. She was a full season. A season carved into the foundation of his becoming. Her voice was a calm wind, not loud, not demanding, yet strong enough to move the heart of a prince. She spoke through stillness, through the way she placed her hand upon time, through the way she looked at him as if seeing beyond all crowns, seeing the man behind the symbols, seeing the child seeking purpose, the dreamer longing for truth. In secret corners of the palace she would stand, wrapped in quiet grace, watching him grow into the vastness of his destiny. She guided without control. She taught without pride. She loved without possession. Her affection was not the hunger of youth, but the steady warmth of someone who had survived many winters, someone who had lived enough to recognize the rare spark of a true soul. There were nights when he felt the world closing in, expectations pressing upon him like heavy dunes, royal duties rising like mountains. On those nights he would find her in silence, and she would lift the weight from him simply by being present. She carried storms within her, yet gave him peace. She held memories of loss, yet gave him hope. She healed without touching. She strengthened without speaking. She was like the desert itself, vast, ageless, mysterious, a force shaped by time but never broken. He admired her resilience, her ability to rise from ashes invisible to others, her courage to exist without seeking praise, her depth far greater than the shimmer of royal chambers. Yet their bond was not meant for the world to see. It was woven in shadows, protected by silence, guarded by fate. They walked parallel paths connected not by promises, but by something older than vows, something written in the quiet corners of destiny. There were moments when she would stand by the window, looking out at the horizon painted with fading sun, her eyes reflecting colors of past years, her heartbeat steady like ancient drums. He listened to the silence between them, a silence richer than any spoken poem, a silence that told him she understood the journey he had yet to begin. But time is a river that does not pause. It carried her slowly away from the palace, not in anger, not in sorrow, but in the natural rhythm of life. She drifted out of his days like a star moving behind dawn. Yet she never left his spirit. She became the unseen compass he followed, the hidden lantern shaping every decision, every dream, every step forward. He wondered often if she knew her absence became a presence of its own, a quiet echo following him through every chamber of his life. A soft pull on the edges of his heart, a reminder of bond that time tried to erase, but could never truly touch. For some connections do not fade. They simply shift into another form, a form felt rather than seen. Fazza walked forward into the world shaped by titles and duties, but a part of him always stayed in the shadowed corners where she once stood. He carried her essence like a hidden ember, glowing unseen yet guiding his steps. Each decision touched by the memory of her wisdom, each struggle softened by the strength she once showed him. She became the whisper behind his courage, the echo behind his clarity, the unseen blessing behind every triumph. He learned to rule with her heart in his hands, a heart that knew gentleness stronger than force, a heart that valued quiet truth over loud pretension, a heart that honored pain as a teacher and love as a silent force. This was the gift she left behind, the invisible crown she placed upon him, a legacy no royal decree could match. Often he returned to the balcony where she once stood. The sky above stretched endless and deep, stars scattered like ancient memories. He looked at them, seeking the reflection he once found in her eyes, not to be lost in the past, but to carry it with purpose. For he understood now that her presence was not a chapter. It was a foundation, a corner of his soul carved in her image. Steady, wise, enduring. The world saw a prince rising, but he felt like a student of her gentle strength, a keeper of her quiet lessons, a vessel for the grace she carried effortlessly. People wondered where his compassion came from, where his depth was born, how he walked with calm in storms that would break others. He knew the truth hidden behind the royal walls. The truth shaped by an older woman the world never knew. Her footsteps no longer touched the palace floors. Yet the halls remembered, the air remembered, the walls held her imprint like faint poetry etched into stone. Sometimes in the earliest dawn, he swore he felt her moving beside him, not as a ghost, not as a wound, but as a guide woven into his very breath. A presence weightless yet powerful, silent yet eternal. He carried her lessons across deserts and seas, into moments of triumph and moments of solitude, into decisions that shaped not only him, but the world around him. Her spirit traveled with him like a soft wind, invisible yet essential. Every horizon he chased felt touched by her. Every sunrise felt like a message. Every quiet night felt like a memory returning home. He knew she had faced storms long before he ever knew her. Storms that carved her into the strong soul she became. Storms that gave her eyes the strength to see beyond crowns. Storms that taught her to love without fear. He honored those storms in the way he lived, in the way he led, in the way he treated every heart that crossed his path. Though the world never spoke her name, and history may never mark her. Thanks.